heard somebody say brilliantly that people of color, a lot of people of color, are functioning in depression. Brilliantly, somebody said that, and I don't know what the statistics are. I don't even know if we have statistics on it, but I can see it. Right? You can see it. Uh, the obstacles that you have to overcome as a person of color are different. Now, if you have the skill set, and some do, if you have the skill set to maneuver through those obstacles, you're good. But a lot of us don't have that skill set. We don't have the skill set to maneuver through what's in front of us. We get fooled. Like, we'll see the media, or we'll see other people, we'll listen to the gaslighting, and people are talking about these are the things you got to do to reach your success. But the things they're talking about doesn't really apply to people of color. Like, they talk about networking. Networking can work. Networking works for people of non-color for sure, and it definitely, and it can work for people of color, but it's a different type of networking. It's a different type of fear going into it. There's a different type of rejection. There's a different type of judgment. So my point is, like, every aspect that you do as a person of color is just going to be different. It's just going to be different. And if you don't have an understanding of that you don't figure it out, yeah, or you don't even try. Some people are just suffering, but if you don't even try, yeah, you're going to be depressed. It makes sense that you're depressed, right? The mass incarceration of people of color, that makes sense why you'd be depressed if you know that. The type of situation that people of color deal with police and the danger of it, that would depress someone, right? Politicians using people of color as to get votes, trying to deny history, trying to uh not even deny history, but to where you devalue their contribution in history. So you're fighting with that. Then you fight with the microaggressions. Like, it's hard to even get a lot of people of color are, I think it's called underemployed, where you have a skill set, but the job you have is not matching your skill set. So, but anyway, it's hard to even get jobs, right? Even though unemployment rate of people of color is double, but the unemployment rate right now is pretty good for everyone. But it's still hard to get the jobs. Last hired, first fired kind of thing. So that creates a pressure on somebody. And then, not to mention, when you're in the job, there's like a stereotype. A stereotype of people of color in the jobs. People just assume, until you prove it, they assumed you're just not qualified. And that assumption never ends. It just keeps going. Every new person, every new encounter, there's that assumption that you don't belong there. So you don't get the microaggressions where people treat you as if you don't belong there. They don't want to hear what you have to say in the meeting. They don't include you for group sessions. They don't include you for lunches. So it's those microaggressions that you experience as a person of color. So yeah, that isolation can create depression unless you can figure out how to work through it. And you got to be a pretty strong person, a pretty solid person in self to have an understanding. You got to let things go, and you have to understand that, yeah, I'm just going to work in isolation. Now, there are different pockets of companies that don't tolerate it. If you can find those, great. But a lot of companies they just talk. They talk about diversity and inclusion, and they have no idea what it means. They think it means putting a brown face in a seat, but that's not what it is. There's so much more to it. I went to a speaking event many years ago, and this one person said something very profound, which he talked about inclusion. Real inclusion is not a number. Real inclusion is acceptance of one another, value of one another, listening to one another in the workplace. That's real inclusion. And that's something that a lot of companies are lacking. They are lacking the real inclusion. They do the surface stuff, but the real inclusion, they're not doing it. They're not motivated to do it. They don't understand the value of doing it. They don't care about doing it. Don't know what it is. But nonetheless, all that can create a depression within people of color. These are all the things that we have to deal with, we have to fight with. And then We're still human beings. We're still in the presence, in the moment, meaning we have goals and dreams. We have goals and dreams. We want families. We want to be good husbands. We want to be good fathers. And we're balancing all that, trying to be a good father, trying to set an example for your kids, trying to protect your kids, trying to protect your wife, trying to protect your family, and be an example. And we're dealing with all the stuff that I just described. Yeah, that can be fucking overwhelming.